Hi everyone, I am Priya from It's OKR and the topic for today is EB2 NIW consultation with a lawyer. In this segment, we are going to understand what is EB2 NIW, how do we self-petition, what is the bare minimum information I should have before I schedule this consultation with a lawyer, what are the advantages of EB2 NIW, is it better to have EB2 NIW before I explore EB1, and of course to answer all these questions we have with us immigration lawyer Jacob from US ImmiVisa. And US ImmiVisa is offering one free consult to its OKR followers and subscribers. I will leave that in the description box, so definitely check that out. Hi Jacob, welcome and thank you for doing another segment with us.
Hey Priya, I love it. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's get straight into the topic, Jacob. What is EB2 NIW and what are the advantages of EB2 NIW?
Yeah, absolutely. So EB2 NIW is a subset of the EB2 immigrant visa. So NIW stands for National Interest Waiver. Essentially, what you show is that you are a self-petitioner who is asking immigration to waive the normal labor certification requirement. The reason why you're asking this is because you are claiming that you have a proposed endeavor, basically work that you're going to do that is of national importance to the United States, that you are well positioned to carry out this endeavor and that the US will benefit from your contribution.
Got it. So talk to us a little bit about self-petitioning. How does it work? For example, I'm working with an employer and I am in a field, or I think this work is actually going to be of extreme importance to the country, but I choose to go down the EB2 NIW path and I choose to self-petition. Is that something that's possible? How do I know that I qualify? What are the steps?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. It's exactly right. So the National Interest Waiver allows either advanced degree applicant, so either somebody with a master's or higher, or a bachelor's degree in 5 years of progressive experience post-graduation, or somebody with exceptional ability in their field, in lieu of the advanced degree, to apply by themselves for an immigrant visa. So essentially, on the I-140 form, you would mark that you are applying as a self-petitioner for a national interest waiver instead of having your company fill that out. So you could fill that out without anybody from your company knowing that you were applying for this process, as long as you meet the degree or exceptional ability requirement and meet those they're called the matter of Afghanistan requirements, you can qualify for NIW.
Thank you so much. And say I am a candidate and I kind of think I might qualify for EB2 NIW, but I'm unclear, but I want to schedule a consult with an immigration lawyer. So what is the information that I should have with me before scheduling this consult so that I can get the most out of that engagement?
I would make sure that you have an up-to-date resume, and your resume should stipulate the dates, the specific dates of your employment, your job titles and duties, and stipulate your educational background, including how many years you were in school. Essentially, what we're trying to look for is whether your education, if you obtained it outside the United States, is going to be the equivalent to an American degree, and whether you have the requisite experience post-graduation to qualify. One other thing that I would say is to list any other, let's call them extra skills or certifications that you need as well, just to show how advanced you may be in your field.
And how long does this entire self-petitioning process take, or what does that look like?
So you can premium process a national interest waiver. So you pay as of November 2024, it's $2,805, and they will process it in 45 business days for your national interest waiver. There are a lot of benefits to having NIW. If you are from countries outside of China or India, a national interest waiver can give you a green card in about 2 years or so. If you are from India or China, though, having a national interest waiver can still be very beneficial. For one, if you are married and you obtain a national interest waiver, your spouse can obtain the H-4EAD because you have an approved I-140. Another benefit is you're not going to be tied to a specific employer. So rather than having to do the perm process every single time when you move over, you're going to have an I-140 independently of them.
Got it. And say I obtain an EB2 NIW and I leave the country and then I come back after a couple of years. Does my EB2 NIW still stay valid? Do I need an employer immediately? What does that look like?
Yeah, your NIW is still going to be valid. You will not need an employer. You'll still be able to. This is actually probably one of the biggest benefits, particularly for our Indian applicant. You're going to retain your priority date. So if you want to apply for EB1 in the future, you can use the priority date from your NIW that you've done in the past to apply to your EB1 you do in the future.
I think I'm glad you mentioned EB1 because we also wanted to understand if it is better to obtain an EB2 NIW before we go for EB1. Does it increase the chances? Are they interconnected? What does that look like?
I don't know that it increases the chances personally. I think that it's beneficial because for many of our applicants, who qualify for EB2 NIW, they're not yet ready to apply for EB1. And so having an NIW allows you to basically get in the green card line as soon as possible. So that way, even if it take a year or a year and a half, whatever, to prepare an EB1A application, it won't matter because you can use the priority date from your EB2 to get your green card as quickly as if you did that EB1 a year and a half earlier.
And is this something that like immigration lawyers provide guidance on? I know it's hard for you to generalize, but for example, if I am a candidate who's scheduling an appointment with an immigration lawyer with a resume, would you be like using the time in that call to help us understand whether I'm the right fit for EB1, if I'm the right fit for EB2 NIW, if I don't qualify for anything, what else to be done? Like, what does that consultation process look like?
Exactly like that. Essentially, whenever I'll just speak for myself here, whenever I'm doing a consultation, I'm trying to focus on three things. One, the statistical likelihood of approval. Two, the cost. And then three, the timing. I want to obviously keep the cost as low as possible for the client while advising them to pursue the application that is statistically most likely to be approved and fits with their necessary or desired time frame. So if somebody's not yet ready for EB1, I will talk to them about NIW to say, hey, you might want to do this to at least get in the green card line. Now, I try to be cognizant of the fact that NIW, like, you're basically having to spend money for two processes. And I feel really bad about that too. I wish there was a better, process around that point. But I do think for people who want to essentially secure immigrant petition as soon as possible, NIW is most of the time, as a general rule, going to be faster and easier than EB1A is.
Got it. And so like when you see someone's resume or have a conversation with candidate, do they leave the consult with an understanding of this is statistically like a 50% chance of getting approval? Like at this stage, my application is only like 20% ready or 80% ready. Like do they leave with that kind of information? Like what do they leave with?
Yeah, so I try to give two different data subsets. So one, the USCIS publishes data concerning their approval rates. And then I just will give people my anecdotal experience, process hundreds of successful NIWs where I'll tell them, here's what I think based on my experience. So if you look at the data from 2023, I was just looking at this a couple days ago, like STEM applicants had more than a 90% chance of approval for NIW, whereas non-STEM applicants were floating around 65%, right, for NIW. And so we can I will often tell people if I've had a similar case that's been approved for NIW, I'll just tell them my experience with very similar facts and tell them how it worked out or whether it didn't work out. So that's usually what I do.
So do you have similar statistics for EB1 as well that you can share, which is like approval rates, STEM, non-STEM, any trends?
Yeah, I'd have to look. I don't know that data off the top of my head because they only published, the most recent USCIS report was only for O1 visas and national interest waivers. So the O1s were more than 90% though too. It was like around 92% for 2023, which is great. For people who are interested in EB1, I definitely think there's value in obtaining an O1 first because they have substantially similar requirements. So if that's something you want to plan for in the future, that's probably something to consider.
So O1 is another category that people can explore. And I know this video is not about that, and we'll do another segment on O1 at some point. But while we brought up this topic, I think it would be interesting to hear just like from an O1 standpoint, example, if I'm a creator alongside someone who's doing a job, does it make it easy for me to obtain O1 or like how does that work?
Yeah, we've worked a lot. I've worked with professional like video game, like Twitch streamers, YouTubers, like social media influencers. Content creators definitely have a great option. Content creators definitely have a clear path in applying for an O1 visa. And although the requirement looks substantially similar to EB1A, USCIS definitely views and adjudicates O1s much easier.
That's good to know. Thank you so much for sharing. We'll probably do another segment on O1, but for everyone who was listening, I hope it gives you some insight on how the EB2 NIW process works. Again, EB2 NIW can help you self-petition your green card application. Hopefully, this gives you insights on what happens when you have a consultation with an immigration lawyer, and hopefully you are better prepared to make the most out of your engagements with them. But thank you so much, Jacob, for joining. We really appreciate the time. For everyone, if things aren't going your way, remember it's OKR. Until next time, this is Priya signing off. Thank you so much. Have a great day.